To the breaking news and the two bold moves by the Russians this afternoon. Let's turn to Michael O'Hanlon, senior fellow in foreign policy at the Brookings Institution, where he specializes in U.S. defense strategy. Brookings, of course, describes itself as a nonprofit public policy organization. The satellites are down or something, so he's on the phone with us. How do you see this, Michael?
Shepard, I think it's a clever move by the Syrians and the Russians and the sort of thing you have to expect from them. When I say clever, of course, I'm not blessing it or condoning it, but these are, tactical, competitive military operations and engagements. And the Russians feel like we just did a pretty quick one over on them, and they're going to now come back and they play this game pretty well. I don't think that it deprives us of any and all options if Assad again uses chemicals. I think we should declare that even if he's operating out of a base where there are Russian personnel and aircraft, if we see a Russian plane use chemical weapons, we're going to try to retaliate against that plane. We're not going to try to obliterate the base. And if we happen to miss and hit somebody, that's the mistake of the Russians for allowing the Syrians to operate out of that facility with a chemical weapons attack in mind. But in other words, this doesn't deprive us of any and all options, but it certainly complicates things, and it's the sort of thing I would expect from Putin and Assad.
It certainly would be the mistake of the Russians, but could the effect be getting drawn further and possibly on the ground into this Syrian civil war?
Well, I don't think so if the logic of it and the proportionality of it are carefully explained and sustained. So I'm just imagining hypotheticals here, Shepard, but as you and I know, what Donald Trump did a week or so ago, week and a half ago, as much as I supported it, it didn't really affect the broader campaign in the war, the broader use of barrel bombs. It was a specific message to Assad: don't use chemical weapons. So if he uses chemical weapons again, I still think that President Trump has the option of finding a way to retaliate, even with those Syrian planes on the Russian base. Now, you should probably have a discussion, a pretty careful assessment of your intelligence to know just which planes you want to hit and how confident you are no Russians are around them. But I think, insofar as that particular message needs to be sent again, I still think we could send it. We have, at present, no strategy for ending the Syrian civil war. President Obama didn't have one. President Trump, in fairness, has only had 2.5 months, 3 months to figure one out. We still don't have that, whether the Syrian planes are on the Russian base or not. So I don't want to overstate the development here. But I think on the chemical issue itself, we still have things we could do by way of response if necessary.
Quickly, before we go, on policy and messaging, Michael, on policy and messaging, would it behoove the United States to send a specific message about the if-then proposition? If you do this again, Bashar al-Assad, then we will do the following. Or is this sort of unknown that President Trump seems to enjoy and believe works a better strategy?
That's a great question. I think there may be a sort of a compromise, which is to go back to the language President Trump used when he explained the cruise missile strike in the first place, which you covered very well, I remember. And the explanation was the United States has a vital national security interest in chemical weapons not being used anywhere. I think we could reiterate that. And that sends a message that if you use chemical weapons, we're going to have to do something about it. Time and place and manner of our choosing.
Michael O'Hanlon from the Brookings Institution. Michael, as always, thanks.